Your Steve Jones Show podcast will start shortly. The Steve Jones Show podcast is sponsored by Brewers Outlet, your beverage supermarket on Reagan Street in Sunbury.
All right, one more go-around, Final Four time.
For all the marbles. Literally.
Oh, my goodness. A reason to live.
So, our standings coming into this weekend. I am 20-15. Steve is 20-15. King is 18-17. You both went 2-2 last week. I went 3-1. So that means King has still a chance to win should he go unbeaten, and Steve and I both lose all of our games. We're going to pick both Final Four games, and then we're going to pick our championship game in winner.
I'm ready, baby.
All right, let's kick
but
things.
I need to know who you're picking.
All right, well, here we go. We're going to kick things off with Nova in Kansas, 6:09 tomorrow evening in New Orleans. Steve, who you got?
All right, so with Villanova, they're really two different teams. A bigger team with their starters and a smaller one when they bring Caleb Daniels onto the floor. The problem is without Moore, they are now just one team. No Justin Moore, they're only a one team now. And I don't care what anybody says. I think Colin Gillespie's banged up. I mean, that fall against Michigan was awkward. I'm going to go with Kansas. Hey, look, Harris is not exceptional as a point guard. He's just average. Martin flirts that line with aggressiveness and recklessness. Abaji, for some reason, has been passive in this tournament, but the guy I don't think they can handle is David McCormick. I'll go with Kansas.
King, who you got?
Nova. I love the coach.
All right. Sticking with Nova. Well,
Big East, baby.
I said in the opening of the show, I think Jay Wright, because he is a brilliant coach, will find a way to keep his team in it. But I think mid to late second half, you're going to see Kansas have a similar surge to what they did against Miami in the second half, and they're going to pull away because I think Nova's going to run out of gas, depth-wise and just in general. So I'm going to go with Kansas. Plus, they are my champ. So I am sticking with the Jayhawks.
Next.
And then finally, I just can't wait for this game. Duke, North Carolina. Coach K trying to get to the championship game in his final one. Rematch from what happened at the end of the regular season. Need I say more? King, who you got?
North Carolina.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I just think they're a better team than Duke.
Wow. All right, I like it. Steve?
I mean, look what they did to St. Peter's. Come on.
They made that look like a November game, to be honest with you.
I love St. Peter's. They beat Kentucky. They're my new favorite team. Go ahead.
Duke is interesting in that, obviously, they were a defensive mess in the second half against North Carolina a month ago. But to their credit, they've cleaned it up. Part of the reason they've cleaned it up is that he has gone zone a few times. And guess what that does? It takes a guy that just doesn't like defending, and it makes life easier for him. You know who that player is? Paolo Banchero. He is not a good on-the-ball defender. In fact, he's not interested in it. But in zone, it covers him up. Offensively, brilliant passer, shooter, top 3 NBA pick, and Roach has made a big difference. North Carolina, okay, they don't want to foul you. And Duke has to remember that. They don't want to foul, okay? Leaky Black is their best defensive player, but he's a mediocre offensive player. Manick's a great offensive player. He's a terrible defensive player. In fact, an absolute liability. I think you add it all up, I think Duke wins a very close game and the ratings go sky high.
Well, Steve, I agree with everything that you had said there as far as on the court goes, but I just think bottom line, I know you don't believe in this sometimes, and actually, you know what? Scott Spinelli made this point earlier, and I think he's absolutely right. There's all the analytics and X's and O's, but then there's the will to win. Duke's been doing that since that North Carolina game. Duke will win this game against UNC in a close game.
I'm going to win this. This is great.
And by the way, this was my championship game in my bracket, so.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
That's really good.
So now we have our picks set in. Steve, let's go to you. Kansas, Duke. Who do you have in the championship game should they meet?
Duke.
Duke, okay. King, in your championship game, Nova UNC, which is a rematch from 2016, which would also be fun. Who do you have?
Yes, in fact, there isn't a single player playing in the game from 2016, so it's irrelevant.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, pick a team by the toe. If it hollers, let them go. Out goes Y-O-U. I don't want that. I'm going with Villanova.
All right. I like the confidence in the Wildcats and the Bucknell grad.
Yeah, I just love the coach. I think he's just special.
Oh, I think Jay is special. My problem, they're going to have to keep the pace low tomorrow. I'm talking like 50-something possessions, and they're going to have to play with the lead. If they have to play catch-up, it's like the running football team that falls behind.
Yeah, and you're right. Except for one thing. Once they get going, it's a basketball game, you know? You're 100% right. I'm just saying.
Right. They got to play with the lead.
We beef it so far up that it ends up wherever the ball bounces, you know?
Yep.
You don't know. It could be a possession arrow. It could be whatever. You know, they're all playing at a very high level right now.
Oh yeah,
all of them
exactly. But I think if Kansas falls behind, they've got enough firepower to come back.
Yeah.
If Villanova falls behind, it's like, oh man, they're going to have to really work to get it done.
I saw the Kansas-Miami game. I think Kansas just freaking.
Yeah.
Man.
And that's why I have Kansas winning it all over Duke. That's why they're my champ. I've loved this team all year. I like what they do. I think
they steamrolled Miami.
Yeah. When it comes to Duke, I just think Kansas is going to would win that game because they're the better team, though I know I made the will to win comment. I just think Kansas would be the better team.
Yeah, they did to Miami, that was a close game in the first half. In the second half, they just plain said, you know what, get out of the way. You know, and Miami had no answers. So.
They all won 4 games. They all have the will to win. Okay,
yeah.
They're all okay.
Oh yeah, they're all playing at a super high level right now.
Win.
I mean, that's what makes the Final Four great. You know, seldom do you see a blowout.